Hi everyone, my name is Selva Garcia, and this is the Alpha Amplified Podcast, Episode 2, and this is my team.
Hi guys, my name is Carla.
Alex.
And this is the special guest.
Hi guys, my name is Kevin.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about first-generation student challenges and opportunities. We're going to talk about transfer student opportunities and successes and family pressures. So to get it started, I kind of want to talk about what are the challenges you have as a first-generation student, if you see it as a challenge. Anybody can start off.
Mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah. So, I feel like, well, for me personally, like being as literally the first person to go to high school and graduating is just like such a burden, because not only you have to worry about your retirement, you have to worry about your mom's retirement, and it's just like, life is great. So like having the pressure of like making sure you have a high salary job and making sure that you not only have enough money for yourself, for your family, and then your future family, and then for your mom, like, or your parents, whoever. Yeah. So it's just like really, really hard, and like having that, for me personally, sometimes I struggle with like not humbling myself, but like making sure like it's okay to fail, because I feel like if I fail, I'm gonna fail in life. Like, it's just like that. Yeah. So, it's a struggle, but, that's something that has to be talked about more.
I guess I'll chime in since we're kind of going in order.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I think I agree with you, Carla, in a certain sense, but I'm going to pick out something you said. Don't doubt yourself, particularly. I think I kind of came into realization, particularly of what doubting yourself really means, or humbling yourself. Sometimes it's good to, like, humble yourself. You always have that perspective. You don't always want to overdo it. But what I realized is that sometimes you have to sell yourself in a good way. And your accomplishments and your struggles that you accomplished, at least from me and my perspective, what worked for me is that it motivates you. It motivates you. Like, if I did it once, let's say such hurdle was so hard for you to overcome that, like, it could have been, like, it took you everything to get to that. And sometimes you use that. And then when the next challenge comes, it's like, if I felt like I could have never done it that time and you did it, then what makes you believe that you're not going to be able to do that again? And that's what I've kind of been doing through a couple of times, or at least within this semester and the last year or so. It helps.
Yeah.
Don't doubt yourself.
For me, the challenges is that my parents don't know what college entails. Like, they don't know what it means to be a college student. Like, they could be like, oh, like, you have to, like, cook and clean and, like, help me around the house. But there's a lot that I have to do, like, outside of, like, being in, like, the house. I have to go to school, I have to work and do all these things, and I feel like they don't know, like, what homework means and, like, what, like, it means to, like, finish a project or, like, do an exam. Like, they don't know what it means, so it's a struggle every day to just, like, kind of, like, do everything at the same time and, like, still fulfill their expectations as like, a daughter, So it's a kind of, like, that's my challenge as a first-generation student, because they don't know what it is to go to college at all, which I don't blame them for.
Yeah, and to kind of echo off what all of you said, I really agree with the mental health aspect of it, because you mentioned, like, it's like your parents' future. It's not only your future, it's the future of your parents as well that are on your back. And if you, let's say, fail out of college or fail in life, you're going to be a burden for your parents too, because they're the only people there for you. Most of the time, if being first generation, you don't have too much family here. Most of your family is out in, whatever country you're from. So it's like you have that pressure of, I need to succeed, not only for myself, but for my parents and my family as well. And I feel like that could either be something that crushes you, or it could be something that motivates you to further succeed. And for me, it's been like a huge motivator, like something that really pushes me forward to go above and beyond, to succeed, to, get a good full-time job. So yeah, I see this whole first generation thing not as a burden, but as something that pushes you to keep going forward. And, you have something to fight for other than yourself. You have your family, you have, friends who are looking up to you. So that's what I would say my aspect is on the first generation.
So, I was going to say, so how do you, like, I know a couple of you guys, I kind of know you guys a little bit, and you mentioned it, Kevin. So particularly, how do you guys feel with that pressure of, like, I guess having those make your parents acknowledge you that you're successful and give back what they did to you? Because I don't, like, I guess, what does it look like in the everyday to you guys? I know you mentioned that, like, it motivates you, but what does it look like? Because if I'm completely honest, I don't feel like pressured. I think my parents have always told me that perspective of, like, do it for yourself. And of course, don't get me wrong, I do want to give back to my parents. I think that's like one piece of why I'm like who I am and why I want to like succeed. But if I'm completely honest, it only like when I think about it, it's like only 10 or 20%. Like, and I say that confidently that it's only like 10 or 20%.
Interesting.
I think in a way, like at least this past year, I've been like when Carla said like you want to humble yourself, but I've acknowledged that sometimes if you don't put yourself first, everybody's gonna belittle you and everybody's gonna basically take advantage of you, and that looks like in many ways. So I know like when I always try to understand like, oh yeah, I feel pressured. Like I see a lot of conversations like I feel pressured because I'm first generation, but I myself don't feel that way. Like I feel like it's just I don't think about it. I just literally think that it's best for me to what works for me.
Right,
It's just to keep going, and yes, because I keep going, and if I put myself first, along with that, I'll remember those who helped me out through the way. Because I am very big on if you show up for me, I'll show up for you. Because at the end of the day, like with the whole process of internships, it's just like when you get rejected from an internship, or like when you get like I guess not a position wherever you are applying or you want to get involved, and it could be something as an e-board, right? And you don't get that, it kind of hurts because rejection hurts.
It hurts.
Don't get me wrong. However, it's just like sometimes the way I see it is that if you rejected me, fine. Like there's a ways to look at about it. So I'm touching a lot of things, right? So one thing is I look into like why did I get rejected? Do I really want this role? What moving forward?
I don't feel pressure of my family per se, but of myself, because I know that for me, success is to get a home, like move out. But I think for Hispanic families, it's more of like you can stay in the house whenever you need to. You know, people are living there to like 27, 31, like until like they get married, basically, right? So it's it's a
I thought you
long
said
time.
27, 31. I thought you meant like a club
No,
or something. I was like 27,
no, it's
31.
27, like the age of 27 and 31. Like they just move out when like they feel financially stable, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I really thought you meant like a club, like 27, 31.
No. and so that's why I'm like I don't feel pressure of my family. I feel pressure for myself to move out and like actually get myself stable income, you know? And that's why a corporate job comes in handy for that. So I feel pressure of myself now that I think about it.
I think for me, it's not like myself. I think it's my experiences that gives me the pressure. So like so not to get too personal, but like I was at the brink of homelessness like when I was young, and then my mom broke her back so she couldn't work for a year. And like mind you, I'm like there's like 6 of us, but like my sister and I, we were born here, so I'm the first technically, like the first generation, all that. So it's like, and I had to translate all the documents. So I was just
same
like,
here.
So it's just like in that pressure of like experiencing and remembering like, okay, your mom broke her back. We were almost homeless, and like we worked so hard like to even get my mom's house. So it's just like the pressure of just like, okay, like now I have to succeed. Like there's like I can't fail. Like I cannot like fail. That's like not an option for me. So like that's where the mental health like comes out for me, and like anxiety of failing and all that. So that's for me. That's kind of tough.
I have a question. So, what was it like to tell your parents that you got a corporate job for the first time?
Not there yet.
I'll just answer that. Honestly, like I was talking to them about this whole corporate job thing and like the amount it pays and everything. Like probably my beginning of sophomore year, and I told them the numbers. I was like, "Listen, my friends are getting these internships and these full-time jobs, and they're getting paid like, handsomely straight out of college." And they were like, "I don't believe that. I don't. There's no way they get paid that much so early, right?" And then they didn't believe it at first, and I was telling them because I had an internship experience my freshman year, which like it didn't pay good, but it was like a starting internship. But then I told my parents, I was like, I can use this internship to get a better internship in New York in the corporate world, and they were like, Kevin, you have to be realistic. Like they don't pay that much from what I've heard. And I told them, I didn't listen. I told them, I was like, there's something here. Like there's a lot of opportunity being close to the city. There's a lot of opportunity to have like a stable, good income. And so when I told them about the internship that I got with Bank of America, they were like in disbelief.
Wow.
They were just like, because the amount of kids that actually get into those programs is very small. And like doing the numbers, the amount of applicants to the people they accept, and especially coming from a school like Rutgers, we're not a target school. People are recruiting from the Ivy Leagues.
Right.
So having an offer, in consulting and finance and whatever it is, like it's a blessing, because it's a very small amount of people. So when I told them, it was a shock, and it was like, you made it, Kevin. Like, they felt like they succeeded as parents for them to really be able to, they did a good job parenting. And when you get that full-time job, it's like, wow, everything, like the weight off their shoulders is gone. So it was like very happy for them.
Yeah. I think for my mom, she's like, she doesn't care how I get the full-time job. She's like, you gotta get the full-time job. That's for her. So when I told her I was gonna intern at Moody, she's like, oh my goodness, this is great. And there's another conversation we can have later, but like basically, like when I got a return offer, she's like, you gotta take it. And I was like, no, because I want a better one,
right?
And then that's when she was just like, yeah, but like it's your only chance.
Wow.
I'm just like, it's not my only chance. So she doesn't understand corporate, but she doesn't understand like internships and all that. So it's like very, very hard to explain.
Oh yeah, it's very hard to explain.
And it takes a while to learn everything. So like, it's not a surprise that our parents don't understand, especially coming from other countries and things like that. Like, it's a whole different world,
For me, I was at the Texas convention, and I thank Carla for this because she literally she literally got me this internship. Without her, I wasn't even gonna go. Like, just to be like really frank, I was not gonna go to the convention because it's like my birthday, and I was like, no, like I don't want to go. But I ended up booking the flight like right then and there, like that day before. I spent like $800 on the ticket. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the chance. I'm gonna take the chance. And I had called Carla like 3 days before, and I was like, Moody's just asked me for like an interview, right? And I was like, Carla, like, what do I do? Because that's not the position I want. I was like, she's like, what do you want? And I was like, I want like HR. And I was like, and she was like, okay, I got you, girl. And I was like, oh my gosh, Carla like literally hooked it up for me. And we went and we networked with like all like the recruiting team, which is like the people that that are hiring for the HR. And I loved like the whole team, and I'm like super excited. And then I interviewed with them, and then the next day they were like, yeah, like we gave it to you. They wanted to tell me in person, and I was like, oh my gosh, like thank you so much. And the first person I wanted to call was my mom, and my dad, like both of them. And they were like, oh my gosh, like I know that they don't understand like what it means, but they were like, a job, like oh my gosh, that's incredible. Right. And they were just like, oh my gosh, we're so excited for you. Like it was just a dream. Like I literally wanted to cry with my dad too. It was just such a surreal moment for me. Yeah. What about you, Alex?
I mean, for me, like I haven't had a full time, so I'm still interning. But for me, I'll use that experience. They really don't understand when I try to explain it. Like, so I'm telling you, like, they don't understand it. So in a way, I just try wording it like, hey, I got this job. And it's like, they know where I'm going. They ask me the questions, what is it like? And at certain points, like, at the first time you tell them, like, yes. And then, like, oh, you're so excited. Then they don't understand it. And then the second time, it's like, okay, I just got a job. It's gonna help me. It's gonna help me get to another internship that's a lot better in my opinion, and particularly just like a better experience overall, right? Any experience is good in my opinion. But it's just like, hey, I got the job. They're happy for me, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then it's with the pay, right? The pay is like, you tell them like, okay, they're like, they kind of see that like, oh, you're going somewhere.
No, that's when they're like, yo, it's for real. Like, it's not a joke,
My mom was like, yeah, you can help me pay the bills. That's how over there in my country. La gasolina, todo eso. Everything. They want me to help them with everything.
One more thing is that they always ask like, where's the next follow-up question? I guess that's the first one, at least for my parents. So, are you gonna stay near New Jersey, or where are you going?
That's true.
That's true. Relocation.
Relocation. That's like always like lejos, like it's like far away. Like it's like it's like I don't know. When I went to South Jersey, she was like, "Why don't you get another one?" I'm like, "It's South Jersey. It's 2 hours away. I could do it."
Yeah, I think that's something for Hispanic families. They don't want to break away.
Oh my gosh.
Just because you guys been like through a lot together and they don't have much family here, so they're like you can't leave away, and like, that's something difficult for them to understand. And when I went to, I think for me, when I went to Ohio for my internship, I was like, Mom, I'm going to Ohio.
Yeah.
She's like, ¿Qué?
That's crazy.
Ohio?
Like, yeah, I went to Ohio for my Amazon internship.
Oh wow, that's so cool. How was that?
I want to know. Yeah, I didn't know that.
I did. So I went to Ohio. It's in Cleveland.
You relocated for like the really?
They pay for everything.
They do.
Wow.
They do. It's very good on that end.
It was super nice. The museums were nice. necesita sazón. Eso es. Porque todo está
Bruh.
That's
Yeah.
Sazon. Okay.
Uh-huh.
She brought the
But
color
talk to me
touch.
about like the actual internship. Oh, like
It was the area manager internship. So
Okay.
basically, like, I had a project. I take care of my associates and all that. But when I told my mom I'm gonna go, she's like, no.
were you living with her at the time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, ella dijo no.
I want to ask you because I felt that like it was the first time I was living on my own. Like
Okay.
I mean, first time on my own. Like I was like 2 hours away. I remember
For this summer, you're
this
saying?
summer. Yeah,
Oh,
this
okay,
happened
okay,
this summer. I was in South Jersey. So I was like, all right, 2 hours.
Mm.
Literally, I'm going. I remember I had to move in Saturday,
Okay.
but it was Friday night, and I was like, you know what, I want to go check it out. And then it was Chris. Chris, I'm not sure if you ever do. You know Chris, right?
I believe
Chris Arias. Well,
Yeah.
shout out to Chris as well. I remember he had his graduation party, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go check it out. I'm gonna move in, like bring day before move in, check out the place. I remember I was like, okay. I was driving. Oh, yeah, this looks nice. Didn't think much about it. Went back. I drove back to the party, and like it was just a nice family graduation party. Then the next day, Sunday, that hit me. Like it hit me, and that's what I'm gonna ask you. Like living alone, I was just like I felt like I opened the apartment unit, and literally it says, "Welcome to your new home." It's a home far away from home, but we hope this makes you feel a little bit more welcome. And I
that's
remember
so cool.
it did, but I remember sitting on that couch in that living room, and I was just like, I'm far. Like I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I felt lonely at that point in time. I felt like literally it was just like, oh my goodness. So how did you feel now that you were in Cleveland? Or were you like excited? Like I'm in Cleveland, I'm ready to go.
It was fun at first, but then I called my mom and be like, can you teach me how to make sopita?
That's so sweet.
Because like, mind you, there's no Hispanic restaurants there, so I had to cook my Hispanic food. And then I knew a lot of them, but I didn't know how to make sopita. And then I was just like, I'm struggling, so I'm gonna call my mamita. We were on FaceTime for like 3 hours making like the sopita. But I feel like when moving out, you learn your independence so much. You learn about who you are as a person.
I agree.
And like, since you don't have your family there, you're forced to go out. You're forced to like do stuff, and that's where I learned my love for museums. There was like 6 museums in Cleveland, so I decided like to go all of them, and it was really really fun. It took like 3 hours each, but it was fun overall. And like I come back here, I still go to museums because of it. So like I feel like you learn about yourself, you learn about your independence, and you learn how to manage your money.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Well, I don't think I learned that. The last part. I don't think I learned that.
He was spending it.
I was.
How about you? Did you?
For me, so I'm a junior. My internship is gonna be next summer. My past internship, I've been at this firm for a year and a half, but it's like a 40-minute commute. So I haven't gotten the experience of like living on your own yet, but I can't wait. And I know
Really?
Yeah,
Where are
because
you gonna relocate for this one?
I'm gonna be in New York.
Oh, you're
Okay,
gonna
okay,
be
okay.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
actually
I'm
gonna move to New York?
Yeah.
Wait, oh, that's nice.
Well, so I'm gonna be in New York, but I'm renting out. You know how they do the NYU dorms?
Oh, okay, okay,
So
okay.
I'm gonna do that.
That's what Arlene
That's
did,
what I
right?
did, yeah.
Yeah, because if you look for an apartment, it's
It's
so expensive. Unless you have roommates, like it's so expensive for 1 or 2 people. Like you have to have a lot of people to get a nice place. Even like a 1-bedroom place
Oh,
is super expensive.
It's super expensive.
So we're getting the NYU dorms next summer, and then that's gonna be like my first experience living on my own. Cause like my whole life I was always under my parents' house. So for me, it's gonna be like a new experience, learning how to live on your own, cook, manage your money. Cause in New York, it's not easy.
Well, that's gonna be hard.
I heard like the moment you leave your office, you're spending like $200.
Oh yeah.
You,
That's what
you
I've
guys heard about
too.
that too?
I've heard that, yeah.
Like it's insane. So it's definitely gonna be a test, and learning a lot, new responsibilities. But I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
For me, oh my gosh, my mom cannot separate from me. I think it's such a hard thing. I wanted to be an RA. She said no, and it's like 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
Like it's Rutgers, Newark. Like I live 10 minutes away from it, and I was like, no, like I don't want you to leave. Like you have a space right here, right? And then I told her I was like applying to the Bank of America HR internship, and that was in North Carolina or Charlotte.
Charlotte,
It was in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So she was like, no, like, there's no way you're leaving there. Like, no, you're going to stay here. You find another job.
She's like, you can find one here,
You
right?
can find one here.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what do I do? Like, I'm going to feel guilty. I feel like I'm going to feel guilty if I ever just move out and leave my mom, because it's always been me and her.
Okay.
Always been me and her. Yeah, like my dad's not in the picture, so it's just me and my mom most of the time. And so it's just going to be a struggle because we don't have family here. So I would feel guilty just moving out. And I've always lived independent, so I love cooking and doing that, so that wouldn't be a problem. But living like without my mom is like it's gonna be. It's just the guilt is just gonna overcome me for sure. But I just got the internship here near, and it's like hybrid, so I'm just gonna be here. So I won't be relocating. But if I have the chance to do, I feel like I would, because I feel like I just want to move out and just like independent, like be independent for once, and just know like how it feels.
Yeah.
But I'm mostly alone anyway because I'm a only child anyway, so it doesn't really
I feel you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel you on that.
I love being alone.
Question I have for you guys,
Yeah.
like being a first generation student and seeing your parents like work hard to get you into college, like what are some of the things you admire about, you know, like your mom or your dad working really hard? What's something like you took from your parents, you know?
That's good.
I got one. The work ethic.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
My mom works like a
Mhm.
corona. Pero
Yeah.
she works so hard, and that's where I get my work ethic. So I work hard as much as or more as her.
Mhm.
So that's the one thing like what's it called? Her legacy, like whatever she leaves, it'll be her work ethic from me.
Oh, wow,
So yeah,
Mhm.
and my canas.
Yeah, canas means white hairs.
The responsibility. I would say the
Oh,
responsibility.
yeah.
Like I mean, I live in a Mexican American household, so there's parties. There's parties on Saturdays. There's parties on Sundays. Parties on Sundays, and there's parties on Fridays, and then seeing my father like no matter what party until like 4 a.m. But leave the house at 6 a.m.
Yo, that's
And that is like, if he could do that, then I can too. Like, I'm like, if I sleep up or stay up at home, or like, what makes me say I can't go? Like, I think it's the small details. Like I said, sometimes you like observe. Like, right? They always say like, people are watching. In reality, I never told my father that. Like, he doesn't know to this day that I'm like that responsibility that he parties at 4, but always wakes up at 6 and out the door by 6:30. Like, that was one thing. Like, he knew that if I have a compromiso, like a commitment,
yeah.
that's it. Like, I have to go. So that's why I kind of try to replicate that. So like, if I say something, I always try to show up. I always try to show up, and that's the best way. I think that's one thing I adopted. It might not be the work ethic, but it's just that responsibility that comes with the work ethic.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot that I learned from my mom as a single mother. I also have a sister, but she doesn't live here. She lives back in Honduras, and she had to leave her behind when 21 years ago. She's 22 now.
Twinsies.
Yeah. She.
Yeah,
I have a sister. I have an older sister, and she goes. I mean, my mom always provided for her ever since like she was a baby, like going to bilingual school and everything. So I look up to her and how much she elevated us, no matter how hard it was. You know, working as a single mother and taking care of two daughters. Ones that, you know, their parents, their parent figure is their father is not present, so she had to do everything on her own. So values and everything that she instilled in me is gonna forever inspire me. I never want to let my mom down, regardless of like, you know, the outcome. And I always want to, you know, give back to her no matter what. Because she is basically my, you know, my role model forever, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I've worked like in her business too. So when she just did from scratch is like her cleaning business, and I've worked in there, and it's like it's rough. I'm telling you, like it's rough just working working in 5 houses. They have like 5 bathrooms, and they have like, you know, 7 bedrooms. Like it's hard.
Yeah, a veces es muy sucio.
Yeah.
Some rooms are very dirty. You just
Very
have to like
dirty.
endure it.
And like I'm telling you, like people who like she works for humiliates her. So it's that pressure of saying, hey, like I really want my mom to succeed as well, because I feel guilty just like going to the corporate world and like, you know, getting my money and moving out, and then I'm leaving my mom behind with that job that sucks. You know, it's something that she loves and she's passionate about, but it's just so much work, and the humiliation she goes through just to like feed us is insane, you know? Yeah, so that's one thing I would say.
So, like, what would you say is one thing you want to do for your mom, like, after, you know?
I think there's a lot of things that I want to do for her, and for my dad, because he's like, even if he's not in the picture, I still think he's my dad. Just like being able to just, I feel like I've seen this in YouTube videos, but like retire them, just like make sure that they just want to go, if they can go back to their country, then they, you know, then I would totally love that for her, and also build a home for her over there, and my sister, because currently she doesn't have a home, you know, to go back to. It's just my grandma's house, but I would love to build a home for her for sure.
So for my mom, she has a house already, thankfully. I think for me, it's just paying her bills and her medical insurance.
Oh my gosh.
Medical insurance,
so
because
difficult here,
no
man.
tiene, and she doesn't, she has to pay out of pocket for doctors. So I just want to make sure her bills are paid, everything else. So all she can do is just like, I don't know, go back to Ecuador. Like
I know,
right? She wants to go back.
My
to
mom
Ecuador.
wants to go back, to just go see her whole family and her daughter, obviously,
Yeah, that must be. I respect that. Like, I respect that a lot. That's awesome.
So you don't want to go back? Alice was like, nah, I'm out.
No, so basically, I would get back. There's the thing, I just don't know how I would do it. I think I align with what you guys say, maybe a house, but they already have a house. They're building it in Mexico.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't know that because I similarly have a same experience. I have my older sister in Mexico.
Oh, wow, okay.
But she moved to Mexico, but she can't come back. So it's been approximately 8 years.
Oh, wow.
So 8 years since they haven't. I've seen her.
Oh, you've seen her.
But my parents haven't.
Okay.
So it's always that challenge, and I think it's just like they want to go back for that reason. So, it's kind of difficult, right? You understand that as well. Like maybe it's just like seeing your siblings under the end. It's just like, that's what many people, they're like, oh, you have another sister? I'm like, yeah, I have two sisters. Like you just don't see them. I'm the middle child, so it's just like, yeah, like it's a lot. I don't know how to get back. I think once they get to Mexico, then figure it out because they have a house. But I would love them to travel. I think my dad is my dad's very like into the Chinese culture.
Oh.
So I mean, even if we're Americans or Mexicans, because I'm both a dual national, we still need visas. So like my mission is just to, like, that's my first thing, to take them to China. Like that's it. Like, hey, like a family trip, the five of us. So my little sister, me. I think I'm probably thinking very short term because that's like within like I guess the next 5 years or so.
Okay.
So I guess I gotta start like working because I'm like I gotta get money, right?
Yeah, it's expensive too.
But I think that's what I kind of like long live for right now. Currently, I think that's like what I want. Like take my family, the five of us reuniting again. Because I think about it sometimes, just like it's been like 8 years since we're all together. So it hits. But yeah, I want to take them to that trip.
Right?
I want to take them to that trip.
Have you
That's
ever
cool.
thought about the time you're gonna reunite? Like just that moment.
It worries me sometimes.
What
I'm
do
like,
you mean it worries you?
because I'm like, I know everything happens. Like there's so much going on in this world, but it's just like I gotta keep positive, right? And I'm like just excited for that. Like think about it.
I'm
Like
excited for that moment.
I'm like, imagine the five of us going to China, visas. Like it's fun. Like it's gonna be exciting. My mom is not too excited for the Chinese culture. But my father is. Like my father's. And I told my mom, okay, then we'll go to somewhere where you want to go. And say like,
that way everyone's happy.
Everyone's happy.
So I had a question. So for those who've done internships already, how did you guys feel like the first time, first time ever entering the corporate world?
Okay, I'll answer. Dude, so my first internship, I was a freshman going into my sophomore summer.
That
so,
seems scary.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my! So it was I remember my first day. I was like, I got there early, but I didn't know where the office was because it's like a maze in there. Like there's so many different pathways you could take. So I was just worried about that. But then when I actually got into the internship, it's like you realize there's like a language barrier, not like in terms of English, Spanish, Portuguese, but in terms of like the language of finance and and like English, right? You get into that internship, you're like, dude, what are these guys talking about, bro? Because I've never there's so many terms and different things, and coming in as a freshman, it's very hard.
Intimidating.
So yeah, it's intimidating, and like you wanna act like you know what you're talking about. So when people tell me like, yeah, for sure, yeah. Well, and then after I had a little Google Doc where I would type in all the words that they would talk about, and then I looked up the definition and I would like paste it and then study it to make sure like I knew. So that was like my method for adapting to that kind of environment. But like going into it is very scary. You get assigned projects, you get assigned like these tasks that you've never done in your life before. So it's like it's a big learning curve, but once you're in there for a couple months, it's like you get to finally feel like you're a part of them. Because at first you're like, I don't belong here. I've never done any of this in my life. But I would say after like those first couple months, it's really hard, but you start to get settled in, like anything in life. It's hard in the beginning when you're new to it, but then you get accustomed to it, I would say.
Don't be too scared, I would say. It's
Any
normal.
advice that
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's so much advice.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of advice. Not in a bad way, but like
Yeah.
there's a couple of things you could do to.
So I can experience this now. This is like my first office internship with BP, and it's just been such a great experience. Like I said, like there's a bit language barrier. Like it's a whole different like experience. I was the area manager, so I was in the warehouse. So those are two completely different experiences. And one thing I could give you is like don't be afraid to like ask the silly questions. Even though find someone who you
Yes.
feel comfortable with. Hopefully, it's your manager. You can build that relationship.
Oh, she is.
So
great.
if you already have that, ask those questions. Like literally ask them because that's like, basically your go-to.
Yes.
And after that, you're just kind of like Kevin mentioned, you're just gonna get assimilated to the actual thing, and then you start learning the lingo too. Like just one more thing,
Yeah.
like they ask you how's it going, I'm just saying, oh, it's going. Like that's all I said.
You start to talk like them, like slowly, like you start to talk literally like them.
No, I was gonna say for my advice for Moody's, what I did personally, I physically walked around the office
Ooh,
and
that's
just
a good one.
and just to see, okay, what's the structure, what is everyone doing, like what's the vibe, like that type of thing. So that's what I did, and I kind of got accustomed to like, okay, I know where this is, and when somebody's there, you know, they ask a question like, hey, how are you? I'm like, I'm doing great. How are you? You know, so like you don't feel like out of place, so you feel like you belong there. If you
Right.
explore just a little bit.
Be curious, basically.
Take it all in. Your first day is gonna be exciting. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're gonna remember that.
Thing is, mine is hybrid, so I don't even know if I'm gonna start like
In person.
in person or not.
Well, whatever. It's your first day. You're still gonna be like, oh my
First
goodness.
day
You're gonna
at
feel
the
like
office, yeah.
you're gonna be like, I'm lost, and everybody like, I don't want to look lost, but you're lost.
Yeah, I'm being lost for sure.
But the good thing is that no one's expecting you to come in an expert. Like they know that you're an intern. They're like, okay. And a lot of people talk bad about the culture in certain finance firms, but people are very like available to help. Like they're very willing to help out someone who's just starting out, and they're like, you can ask as many questions as you want. One of the first things I learned at my internship was one of the analysts told me that questions are free. So he was like, ask as many questions. Yeah, questions are free, so why not ask as many as you need to, right? But he told me that, and it's like everyone's willing to help out. You just like out of an internship, you get what you put in. So if you're like just staying there or sitting there at your desk and waiting for someone to come up to you, you're not going to get much out of it. You need to be proactive, set up coffee chats, talk to as many analysts, like go around the office and like introduce yourself to the person next to you. Be like, my name's Selva. You know, I'm just starting out here. I would love to know a little bit more about your role here.
That's good to know, honestly. I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
You
Am I
have
supposed
like,
to do that?
It's
Well,
a
it's-
proactive thing.
It's not like a requirement,
It's not a
but it's
requirement.
always like a recommendation. that
Yeah,
you're
it's
Like,
like
what
I
if they
have
just
your
say
idea.
no? They're like, oh, I don't
They'll
want
never
coffee.
say no.
Oh,
Really?
One thing is,
Do you have to pay for the coffee? No, I'm being so serious.
Yeah, bring coffee. Yeah, bring coffee.
My Dunkin' little.
wait, so I don't know. I say coffee chats, but do you actually bring like this? I know some
Yeah.
people
No,
take it to coffee. But
I-
I set up meet teams, and it's just like okay, like hey,
Yeah.
like I call it coffee. No, like
Oh,
teams.
like a coffee chat.
Microsoft
Microsoft
Teams.
Team.
It's-
Coffee?
At
Well,
least the ones I have. No,
I only had one actual coffee chat. And this wasn't even an internship.
That's
This
what I was
just like
asking.
it's just me recruiting, and I remember it was like this guy
recruiting now.
No, before this was like my freshman year.
Oh, you were getting recruited.
I was recruiting to try and get connections for an internship. You get it? So I was setting up coffee chats for referrals to get into a firm.
okay.
So like I remember it was one day I was talking to this guy. He was like, "Oh, we can meet up for a coffee chat 5 a.m. in New York City."
5 in the morning?
And I'm from Jersey, so like,
You had to commute.
and I did the
Wait,
commute.
what's
I-
the earliest train?
No, I
There's
drove.
not even. There's no
I drove.
train.
There's
I
no
had-
trains at 4 in the morning.
It's like
Yeah.
five. It's
5
like
in the morning
5:20,
is a
yeah.
I drove because I had work, but I was so focused on like getting an internship. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this commute. I'm
Dedication.
gonna meet at 5 in the morning. So I was in the middle of New York City, 5 in the morning. Me and this guy, it's 5 or 6, but me and this guy like went into a coffee shop. We actually got coffee.
At 5,
Yeah, we actually got coffee, and then we just like talked for maybe like 30, 40 minutes, and I never ended up like actually. A referral didn't come out of it, but it was like you build those networking skills,
Right,
you
yeah.
know, and that's so important.
Is it
And
awkward?
in the beginning, it's always a little bit awkward when you meet someone new, but it's like if you can just be yourself, like relax and like not try to just don't be robotic. Don't be someone you're not. I feel like that's like a big
Was it
thing.
awkward?
every coffee chat I set up, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Every coffee chat I set up, I remember the first 2 weeks I set up like 20. And I was like,
Oh
one
my
piece of advice is like, if you use Teams or whatever you use, like
Yeah.
that was a shock. That was a shock to me
Oh,
too.
yeah,
Like how to set
Teams.
Teams, how to use Outlook. like
Oh yeah,
how
that
to
whole
use all
process.
that. Like I'm still learning how to use Outlook. Like I don't like the platform. I got used to Google
Right.
Mail, all that.
Yeah.
Google Calendar, and then like
Google
Teams.
Mail.
Google Mail,
Yeah.
literally Teams. I was like, I asked, as I said, find that like foundation who's gonna
Right.
help you out. So my line manager helps me out. I was like, I asked her this silly question. hey, so how do I create an email on Outlook without like attaching? Because it was just I couldn't find it. Like it keeps switching on me, and another team, she's like, piece of advice: if you're gonna do a coffee chat, in order for them not to say no, you have to use scheduling assistant to like.
Oh
Schedule out.
yeah,
That's the best
it took
way.
me a hot minute to learn scheduling assistant.
Yeah.
That like I mean, small things you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, and then you feel intimidated because like, oh my gosh, I don't want to ask these questions, but literally ask them.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid for those coffee chats. Sometimes they're awkward. The first one might be awkward because like if you're like doing your first coffee chat, it's gonna be awkward, but you learn from it.
You learn. It's like the gym. Like you put yourself. I always bring back to the gym because like I love going to the gym, but like you're in an uncomfortable.
Yes, I had those
You're in
experiences
like an
too.
uncomfortable situation, but that's how you grow, right? And like it's the same thing with anything in life. When you go into it, you're uncomfortable in the beginning, but after reps and reps and reps, you eventually grow and like you become comfortable with it, you know? So like that's the analogy I always think of when I do something new, for sure.
And then this is your be your first experience, so like you might think, oh, I need to do this, and sometimes you might not even have all that time, or you might not even feel comfortable. But this experience is gonna make you feel like, okay, next time, the next experience, or if you come back for like a return offer, you're coming even more like, all right, I knew I could do this, then you're gonna go more.
A lot more confident.
Because I saw that with my Amazon internship, like it's a warehouse, but I was like shy to approach like senior management.
Right.
But this time around, I set coffee chats. Like took the time to set them up. It's just like you skill up. Like each surroundings, like each story, ends basically, and then like you next time you're like, okay, I'm going for more. But it always feels intimidating. It always does. Like especially first day.
I guess for my last question, as a first generation student, transfer student, we didn't talk about transfer at all. We should talk about that. You want to talk about it? Since you're a transfer student, he is a transfer
His moment to
student.
shine.
How did it feel to just transfer to Rutgers? What made you choose Rutgers too?
So do we want to give a little background on that? So basically, I went to Essex County. So for any community college students out there, I would say, I don't want to scare you, but it is hard when you kind of transfer over. I'm just trying to keep it, at least from my experience.
Yeah,
right?
keep it real. Yeah.
So for those who don't actually experience that, good job. Like, I mean, like, great. Like, but those who might feel like that in that way, it's doable. I would say you always want to have like a good foundation. And why I chose Rutgers was because it was kind of near home. Like I said, it goes back to that. And I thought about it. I was like, okay, if I'm going in business, I went for reputation, I guess, within at least New Jersey.
Right.
I wanted to stay local. And I was like, it's not too far from New York City, so I'm pretty sure it has a recognition. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I could get something through here. Yes. But it is kind of hard in the sense that you have to transition from actually doing. I've never experienced finals until Rutgers. Like I don't know how
really?
I managed.
Really?
There's
Yeah,
no finals?
my school system would not have finals. Like we never have finals. Like from high school, like everything. And community college is kind of like finals, but it was pretty easy in my way. Like it was pretty easy. Never really felt until Rutgers that it was like finals.
Did you ever feel like it was like kind of a setback or you were behind?
That's a good question.
Definitely.
Yes, I definitely felt like that. I would say, particularly when you come in as a junior. I came in as a junior. You feel like everybody's talking about internships and then apply, and you're like, I just came from community college where I actually wanted to have a foundation, meet these people, like get to know people, like have a college experience. And that didn't come like from community college. So I went to Rutgers and everybody's like, I'm talking to people, friends, oh, apply. But then what I felt was insecure. I'm like, I need experience. I don't even know what do you mean like through an internship. Like what do I do? Everything from resume. And I guess I am defensive a little bit on like the self-criticism. I guess like I don't want them to show my resume. I'm like, yo, like they have everything. They have internships.
Right.
The people who are like my same age, same backgrounds, and like they know what they're doing. They had the head start. They're already coming from like other experiences.
Yeah.
And you try not to compare yourselves, but like at least for me, it's like I say, okay, if they could do it, I can. So one of the things is just like it's intimidating. It does feel like you're at a disadvantage, but you gotta come up. If you really want it, you're gonna realize, okay, I gotta like push myself to it. And it's just a lot of like you putting yourself out there and feeling uncomfortable at the end of the day.
Did Alpha help with that?
Oh yeah, they helped. That was it. They really did help. I think they wanted me to apply like September, so like, I'll give you the time frame. September. I didn't end up applying for my Amazon internship until like January. So most recruiting, like the recruiting season, had basically ended at that point.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it was very difficult, and it took me that long. Like even with the support system, even with like interview preps, it took me that long. I guess like I told you, so I insecure about myself. Like putting myself out there. I was so intimidated on that end. But I eventually got that hurdle. The workshops, the events that we have, basically just like I remember this one event. I think couple people, like if you guys watch this, Melanie and Anthony, we were into a first event in September, and they're like, hey, an elevator pitch. I didn't know what it was.
yeah.
They're like, go
God.
go try. Like, yo, I'll come with
No
you.
way.
I'll come with you. You
Yeah.
think I went? No, I didn't
No.
go. But until like I told you, like until like November, like I started kind of applying, looking at it, but I never like did that actual application. I always stopped there. Like I saw the roles,
Yo,
doing
me
things.
too.
It was a
I
transition.
always have the application open, like halfway done, but I never finish it.
There's always
For some
something. There's
reason.
always something, at least
There's
for me,
always-
that's stopping.
Yeah, it's
Really?
always gonna stop. I think it's just the interview process where it just intimidates you. I'm like, yeah, I applied, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to like interview. Like it scares me.
It's a scary
It's a scary thing.
I'm-
'Cause
I
don't
just
know.
apply. I just be like, okay.
Carla's confident. I can't. Like I'm in
Yeah.
so many applications that I finished, just never ever like actually went through with
That
it.
was a transition. Like I remember, like by the time I got to Amazon, I'm like, okay, submit it. Like, ooh, I got my first one done, and then I started applying more and more, and then it gets overwhelming when you actually get the interview, and you're like,
Oh my god.
you're like, why did I do this to myself? Like, why did I do this? You
exactly.
start panicking. Like you're like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Then on top of school and top of midterms,
Everything.
it's scary.
Interviewing is a skill in itself. Like
Oh.
from the higher view to
my
like
gosh.
first round to super days, I feel like there's like a preparation you need to have on like how like first of all your resume has to be on point and top notch. Like there can't be any little mistakes or else they flag you. Yeah. And if you have like a mistake or an inconsistency like with your resume,
way.
firms will like because the way they see it is like if your resume where you have so much time to look at it and check up if everything's right, like if you have a mistake on that, like they see as he doesn't have attention to detail, so it's not going to transition well into like the internship at this firm. We want people who are like very intentional with how they do their resume. Are they like looking for every little mistake? So I think that's like one aspect of why they're so strict on resumes.
And I don't want to scare anybody who's like, basically a transfer student or first year, second year, getting your first interviews. Like, don't feel scared.
I'm not. Yeah.
It's
It's
not-
Well, you're gonna get
it's
scared.
not
You're gonna
actually-
get scared.
You're gonna
No,
get scared.
It's just the process. Like it's just trial and error. It's mostly like, okay, I'm gonna have to put myself through this because that's the only way you're gonna know. No matter how many people tell you to calm down, do all of these
The
tricks and everything to like calm down, you're not going to, because it's just you have to put yourself through these things and through these uncomfortable situations in order to grow from it. You can't. There's no way anybody can give you advice. Do this, and
And
that.
you're still gonna fail.
You're gonna fail at it.
You're gonna
fail
fail.
at it, and that's
You're
the
gonna fail.
only way you're gonna gain confidence from it. That's the only way.
And
Yeah.
echoing off that, like being comfortable with failing and getting rejected, I think,
gosh.
and learning from that is like the biggest asset you can have because you're gonna get rejected no matter what. Like, bro, I know people.
you start thinking a lot of things.
Yeah, and you start like thinking something's wrong with you, right? After so many rejections, but it's literally the process. Like everyone gets rejected constantly. It's just how are you gonna bounce back from those rejections?
You know what? Rejection is redirection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that
I
is.
say that.
Definitely, I agree with that. Like,
Amen.
it tells you either you want the role, you're gonna try harder, or you're like, okay, or you move on, you find another opportunity, and it's like, all right, this was for me.
It's literally your journey. There's nobody else's. Like, if you compare yourself, you're not gonna like it. You're not gonna like comparing yourself at all. So it's your own journey. It's your own path. Just keep trying and keep going. Literally.
That's true, but at the end of the day, there's always gonna be that there's gonna be that one company that's gonna value you. What?
No.
I agree. I agree
There's
with
gonna
what
be
she's
that one
saying.
company that's gonna value you and it's gonna be like, okay, like we see you're trying, you're gonna get it.
Yeah.
It's like what Javier said one time.
They're gonna like you for who you are.
All you
for
need is
sure.
one yes. Like,
Yeah.
All you need is one yes. And I think that's why I go so hard for one yes, because like they're the ones who believe in you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I was like, if you're, and especially with all those other rejections, like you start feeling like, damn, like
It hurts,
it hurts. Like I'm probably getting a little sensitive, like not as sensitive.
No, I get you. I get you.
I guess the word is like, I'm not. I guess I'm numbing the pain of rejection at this point. You start like
It's okay.
it doesn't hurt as much as that first one. That first one hurts. You like
No, it hurts, especially when you're like, dude, I killed that interview, bro. Like, I
Yeah.
definitely got it. And then like you wait 1 week, you're like, yo, they haven't called me back.
Putting your
2
hopes out,
weeks,
too.
yeah, bro,
That
and like.
happened to me. That happened to me this year too.
Yeah, bro. It's like you feel like you killed it. And you're like, damn, I had my best interview and they still didn't call me back. Like,
That was another challenge.
That one hurts.
That one hurts even more.
yeah, that one hurts. That one hurts. But it's part of the process. You learn. You get better and better with every interview, and one day you're gonna get the job.
And then when you get a yes, you go crazy. You're like,
Bro, when you get that yes, bro, it's over. It's over.
It's over, real. All right, guys. So it was lovely speaking to everybody and also getting to know everybody and their backgrounds and, where they came from. And I'm really excited to, film the next episode. If you really like this, please give it a like. Should I say that? Subscribe.
Yes.
Share
And-
with your mom,
Yes.
dad.
Share
with
them.
everyone.
They want to know more about the corporate life, then, watch this video. And yeah.
Can I say something? And if you want to be a part of this, like, don't be afraid. Send that email, and even if Selva responds to you, and it's like, hey, you've been selected, or we want you to come to join us.
Yeah.
And you might be like, oh my goodness, like, why did I sign up for this? Just show up.
Just show up.
Show
I
up.
wanna know your
Out there.
story.
And the
Yeah.
first time might not even be like as expected,
Yeah.
but then the second time will. So don't worry.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Next time, bye guys.
Adios.